There's something about classic books that feels heavy. The covers look serious, the language feels old, the sentences are long, and even before you open the first page, you already feel behind. Maybe you picked up Great Expectations or A Tale of Two Cities and thought, what if I don't understand this? What if it's boring? What if I'm not smart enough for this? Let me say this clearly. Classics are not written for smart people. They are written for human people. And if you're human, you're qualified. Today, I want to talk about how to read classic without feeling intimidated. Not academically, not like you're writing a thesis, but as a normal reader who wants to grow. One of the biggest reasons classics feel intimidating is this. We think we're supposed to understand everything, every word, every metaphor, every historical reference. But here's the truth. You don't read modern fiction that way. So why are you trying to read classics that way? If you read a contemporary novel, you skip a word you don't know, infer meaning from context, and focus on emotion and story. You're allowed to do the same with classics. If you don't understand a sentence, read it again once. If you still don't know, move on. Understanding builds gradually. Reading is not a test. It's a relationship. And relationships grow well through time, not perfection. Another mistake people make is focusing too much on the language. Yes, classics use older vocabulary. Yes, sentences can be longer. But the heart of classic is not the vocabulary. It's the theme. Take Dickens for example. In Oliver Twist, the language may feel formal. But what is really the theme? Poverty, neglect, kindness in cruel systems. These themes are not old. They are still here. When you read a classic, ask yourself, what is this really about? What human struggle is being shown? What emotion is underneath this chapter? If you read for themes and not for difficult words, the intimidation disappears. Because human emotions are timeless. Classics require different pace. Not slower because they are hard, slower because they are layered. You don't need to rush. You're not trying to read it in 3 days. Let yourself pause, reflect, reread meaningful paragraphs. But here's the balance. Don't overanalyze every sentence. You're not in literature class. Sometimes readers intimidate themselves by trying to decode every symbol. You don't need to find hidden meaning in every curtain or candle. Sometimes candle is just a candle. Let the story breathe. It can help to know the time period, the social issues, the author's background. For example, understanding industrialization helps hard times clearer. Knowing Victorian society helps with Great Expectations. But here's something important. Context enhances the story. It does not unlock it. You can still understand loneliness, ambition, injustice, regret, even if you don't know every historical detail. If you're curious, look things up after reading a chapter, but don't pause every 5 minutes to research. It breaks immersion and increases anxiety. Let the story carry you first. Modern books often rely on fast pacing, plot twist, immediate drama. Classics are different. They build slowly, they observe, they reflect. Sometimes nothing dramatic happens for several pages, and that's okay. Classics are not designed for dopamine. They are designed for depth. If you expect constant excitement, you will feel bored. If you expect thoughtful exploration, you will feel enriched. Adjust your expectation and the intimidation lowers. This is important. Just because a book is labeled classic does not mean you must love it. You're not failing literature if you don't connect with the story. Sometimes, it's the wrong season of your life. It's the wrong timing. It's simply not your style. That does not mean you're incapable. It means reading is personal. Even classics are experienced subjectively. Now here's the encouraging part. When you move past intimidation, classics give you something beautiful. Perspective. They show you how people lived, what society valued, what struggles repeat through generations. You realize something beautiful. Human nature has not changed that much. Ambition still corrupts. Kindness still saves. Pride still isolates. Love still transforms. Classics remind you that your problems are not new, and sometimes that is comforting. If you're new to classics, don't start with the longest, most complex novel. Start with shorter works, well-known stories, authors whose themes interest you. For example, A Christmas Carol is much shorter and very accessible. Build confidence first. Reading is like building a muscle, and you don't lift the heaviest weight on day one. If you've ever felt intimidated by classic literature, I want to remind you, these books survived centuries because they speak to ordinary people. They were not written for professors only. They were written about workers, orphans, families, mistakes, growth. They were written about life. And you are living one. So you don't need to be smarter. You don't need to be faster. You don't need to understand everything. You just need to read with curiosity and let the book meet you halfway. So, what classic book intimidates you the most? Or what classic book surprised you when you finally read it? I'd love to know.